What a remarkable scientist and human being. Dr. Arthur Furst not only laid the foundation for the Neolife Scientific Advisory Board, his incredible, revolutionary discoveries in the field of cancer treatment, amino acid chelates, heavy metal detoxification have all had an immeasurable impact on human health. And what strikes me most is his unwavering belief in the power of the human body to protect itself from day-to-day challenges and cure itself of any disease by deriving nutrients from foods. I feel very privileged to be able to take this legacy and heritage forward.
Working for Dr. Furst was always a pleasure. Not only he was amazingly bright and detailed in his explanations of the scientific side, but he always had enormous energy and enthusiasm and cheerfulness, so it was really a pleasure working with him. One of my fine memories of working with him was he invited me to attend his folk dancing group in Palo Alto, and I went there, and I was able to witness that just as good as a scientist, he was an excellent dancer too. It was really impressive, and juggler.
Well, it has been a great opportunity for me to work with Dr. Arthur Furst. John Miller and I were the first two that he added to his scientific advisory board, so we had a longer opportunity to work with him than just about anyone else. And I think the thing that I enjoyed most about working with Arthur was the fact that he was so honest in his trade. He was a toxicologist, and he practiced it. And therefore, when we would discuss product or product development or product reformulation, he always stepped forward and made sure that what we were doing was the best for the consumer. So it was just a pleasure to work with him and an honor to be associated with him.
My fondest memories of Dr. Furst go back to when I first met him. He had a great scientific reputation, but when I first met him, I had no idea of that. This unassuming gentleman I knew was a great mind, but I didn't know that he was a fellow that was changing the world. And as I got to know him, I found that he had this tremendous diverse view of things in diverse capacity. Not only was he a great scientific mind, but he also had a very strong participation in and love for the creative side of things. He loved dance, he loved music, he loved those sorts of things that sort of the left brain, right brain idea. And I think that combination of things is what made him contributed to him being such a great researcher and great person. Over the years, I was blessed with having the opportunity to spend a lot of time with him, becoming quite good friends, and seeing both sides of Dr. Furst in full flight, if you will.
I knew about Dr. Furst way before I ever met him. Back in graduate school, some of his significant nutritional papers were mandatory reading in graduate classes, so I remembered his name, but it took another 20 years before I actually met him after moving to California and joined the Scientific Advisory Board meeting. I wasn't actually prepared that he is a leading scientist in this group, so I was surprised when I walked into the first meeting, which was in Spain, and I was introduced to him. Well, right away in that meeting, we had a very nice conversation, and he became eventually a very good friend. So it goes two ways. I learned many scientific information from him, which I still remember, but also he became a personal friend. He was a very versatile person. You could talk with him about arts, music. Even in his advanced age, he was still doing folk dancing. So there's a lot to talk with him, besides being a great scientist.
He was brilliant. He possessed a keen intellect. He was always challenging our positions and questioning our opinions, making us think. Dr. Furst was also one of the most kind-hearted people I have ever met. He was the true embodiment of the phrase, a gentleman and a scholar. He really was. But I think Dr. Furst's greatest talent was as a teacher and a mentor. He could take the most complicated biochemical and nutritional principles and make them clear and understandable. He had so much knowledge, and he was not afraid to share it. Early in my career at GNLD, Dr. Furst took me aside and taught me about mineral chelation. Not only how important it is to nutrition, but even how chelation is done. The whole process, the steps in production, the conditions to create chelated minerals. He felt that it was important to pass all of that knowledge on to me. Not a day passes where I don't wish I could pick up the phone or even send an email to ask Dr. Furst a question or bounce an idea off of him. He was always willing to give of his time. He was very generous. Dr. Furst made GNLD better. He made all of us better. And I do miss him a lot.
Well, thinking back on my association with Dr. Arthur Furst, several things come to mind. For me, trying to put into words my feelings regarding Arthur I'm not sure I could do it, but I just want to say that it's so rare to meet someone like Dr. Furst, to see the passion that he had always directed at helping other people, and then to know someone that can tackle the most complex issues and then boil it down and explain it simply so that anybody that comes in contact with him would be able to benefit from it. He had a gift, many gifts, but I also, I've met very few people, and I can't even think of one right now, where I feel that I've met someone that lived out the purpose that was designed for their life. And he contributed so much to the world with all of his research and papers and books, and then to my life in particular, because he laid the foundation for the Neolife products to be manufactured and made in a way that they are made according to nature's blueprint, and then of course backed up by the science and him as a scientist. So we're very fortunate. One thing stood out in my mind always. I remember being in Tokyo, and I was out in the city walking, and I ran onto Dr. Furst, and he was trying to make a telephone call on a public telephone, and I said, "Dr. Furst, let me help you." I said, "Here, call on my phone." He says, No. I don't want to call on your phone. I want to know how this Japanese pay telephone works." So he said, "And I'll, you want to ride back with me in the taxi?" He said, No, I'm going to take the trains and the subway. I'm trying to learn how they operate here. So that sums up Dr. Arthur Furst. I miss him. And on this 100-year anniversary of his birthday, the world is a better place because Dr. Arthur Furst lived.